everyone. My name is Jose, and thank you so much for the excellent presentation, Andrew and Fatu, and everybody else who put this panel together. And it's an honor to be here today. So as Andrew said, I am here representing the New York City Accelerator as their solar specialist. And our goal really is to help buildings throughout New York City to actually adopt a solar energy technology model. And we've done this through our well-tested model through the New York City Accelerator. So far, since we started, we have helped more than 200 buildings in New York City to actually either go solar or do a solar assessment on top of their roof and see what is possible. So how our model works, program model works is as following. Once we would ask that you meet with one of our account managers, like Fatu, who manages and works with many buildings throughout the city. And we will ask you to provide us with the address of your building as well as a copy of 12 months worth of Con Edison bills for us to do a feasibility assessment in which we see the roof and see how much solar potential is actually possible on that roof. And then we can do a cost benefit analysis based on the usage that you are that your building has for the common areas. Then we provide educational programs such as this one, where we present to board members, shareholders, renters, and you name it, anyone who is interested in solar energy technology, introducing you to what this technology looks like, how it works, and we provide a more deep dive rundown of how solar benefits each individual buildings throughout the city. We also provide financing and incentive consultation where we guide you through what incentives are available to your building based at the federal, state, and local level, and how you are able to pay off for the system in a smaller period of time by having all the information available at hand. And in case that your building does want to go solar and move forward with the solar process, we run a competitive procurement process where we ask installers to bid on your project, and we put together what we call a bids comparison form so that you can have clear, transparent information on what each installer is bidding in terms of the system. Just that could be the quality of the panels, the warranties, the size of the inverters, etc. And then we guide you through that process by hosting interviews with those installers and being able to support you throughout the way. Once you have selected an installer, we also help you with the contract negotiation, support you during the permitting and installation process. Our goal is truly to help you be content with your decision of having gone solar. Next slide, please. And I just want to give you a brief introduction of what the incentive levels are for solar energy systems in the city, just so you know, in terms of the buildings that you are all a part of. So there are, for the buildings that I believe are here represented, are condos and co-ops, as well as for-profit rental buildings or market rate buildings. And for condos and co-ops, the state will help pay for the system up front by giving the installers a rebate, which helps you reduce the cost at the beginning. So let's say for a system for co-ops and condos, the state will pay $1 per watt of that system for installations that are 0 to 200 kilowatts DC. For anything above that, will be $1 for 201 to 1 megawatt megawatts systems, and then anything above 1 megawatts, the state will pay 50 cents on that project. Additionally, that building can take advantage of the federal tax credit, which means that if you were to go solar this year, your building can claim 26% of the upfront cost. The upfront cost is basically the total cost of the system minus the New York Sun rebate, which is what the state helps pay. And then the upfront cost is what you're responsible for paying. So the upfront cost is from that upfront cost is that you will be able to materialize the federal tax credit. And that's 26% for this year. Next year, it's going to be 22% and 10% the year after. So this year is an excellent year to go solar because you can claim the most of all of the incentives. There are also two other incentives in which your buildings can take advantage of, which is the state tax credit at 25% of the upfront cost, and the property tax abatement, which is 20% of the upfront cost. For-profit rental buildings, the New York Sun incentive remains the same as the rebate that the state will help in terms of paying for the system, reducing the total cost. $1.20 per watt for systems that are sized at 0 to 200 kilowatts, $1 per watt for systems that are sized at 201 to 1 megawatt, and 50 cents for systems that are sized at above 1 megawatt. And I think that your buildings will not go above the 200 megawatt threshold, or probably no more. I know that not not 1 megawatt. But then for the federal tax credit, the for-profit rentals can take advantage of that 26% this year as well, next year 22%, and the year after 10%. What you guys have for federal for the market rate rental buildings is the accelerated depreciation, which you can claim both depreciate the system for the federal and the state, as well as the property tax abatement. Unfortunately, not for the state tax credit. That's only for homeowners only. Okay. So this is just a breakdown of the systems of how you would be able to monetize your solar energy system, which is by reducing first the common areas electricity usage. And then, for example, shareholders of the co-op can benefit from the federal and the state tax credit. Those goes directly to the shareholders, while the co-op can benefit from the property tax abatement and the solar savings themselves, because that's a common charge. And then for condos, which is the next breakdown. Next slide, please. Yeah, for condos is the owners, which are the shareholders, can monetize from the federal tax credit, the state tax credit, and the property tax abatement, while the condo itself shares the electrical usage in the common area. That's for the solar savings. And rental buildings, which is the final breakdown, just so you guys have a Venn diagram of it. Next slide, please. Before that. Yes, and for rental buildings, the building owner, which is the owner of that property, can monetize from the federal tax credit, the property tax abatement, the accelerated depreciation, and savings on the common area electricity usage, while the renters will have the value of living in a building that has clean green energy technology on site. And then finally, I wanted to show you how this looks like in terms of solar cost savings. So if you were to invest solar after all incentives are secure, you may be able to pay that system after 3 years, and excluding tax credits, which means, like, let's say in the scenario that you're not receiving any of the tax credits, you still may be able to save, pay off the system in a period of after 7 years, only based on the solar energy savings. And how can you finance solar energy systems? You can do it in 3 different ways. If the building already has money at hand, through the reserves, or through just projects through your sales of a unit, etc., then you can just pay that as a cash up front, or you can do it through a loan. As Andrew already explained, there are financing options that can help offset the cost of that system, and you will own that system. That's called cash purchase. And then the other way that you can finance your solar energy system is through a third-party provider. And that one can be done through a power purchase agreement, in where you agree with a separate entity to pay for the system, while they claim the federal tax credit and the accelerated depreciation on that system, while the co-op, condo, or building can still benefit from receiving the property tax abatement and the credits, the carbon credits for having installed a solar energy system on top of your roof. But in case solar is not possible, there is always a final option, which is enrolling in a community shared solar project that it has already been installed in the city, and receiving a discounted rate for the price of the electricity at a 10 to 20% by joining a community solar project. And for PPA as well, you would receive a discounted price for the system, as you would be the main anchor tenant of that system. And that's my presentation. And now I will leave you with Faith Rodriguez Price, who is responsible for helping Maxwell-Kates be able to do all the compliance on your end. So she is the right person to speak to on your behalf.